Teachers Director Melissa Lampert, and I'm here today with Vanessa Wilk. She is the wife of Senator Scott Wilk, one of the first ladies of the Santa Clarita Valley, and we're here doing a little sit-down interview with her. So, hi, Vanessa. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks so much for coming out. And
Thanks for having
of
me.
course. So, can you just tell me about yourself and your family a little bit?
Sure. Well, I've been married to my husband, Scott, for 32 years. Long time. I kind of cringe when I say that because how could that be? And we have two children who are now adults, Scott Jr., who we're very proud of. He is a State Farm agent in Simi Valley, and Allison Grace with a beautiful face, who she's married now, lives in Santa Clarita, special ed teacher out in the Saugus School District. And we just found out recently that she's pregnant. So we're going to have our first grandchild. We're really excited about that.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, and we
That's
have two very spoiled dogs as well. So Simi, who is named after Simi Valley, and Avi, who is named after the Antelope Valley.
Oh, wow, that's
Yes.
so interesting. You were
Yeah.
telling me before that they're a Maltese, and what was the other one?
Well, Simi's a rescue, so we think she is part lasso, and we're not really sure. Part, I don't know, she's just little, so we're not sure, but we love her to death.
Did you always know that your husband planned to go into politics, or was it an unexpected opportunity for you, or?
Not unexpected at all. In fact, we met back in the early 80s on a campaign. I love the story he tells when he was a little boy. He used to ride his bike to Republican headquarters and stuff envelopes for candidates. So he has always been involved in politics. And it just seemed like a natural progression to go from consulting to actually being elected.
How did your life and your family's life change once your husband actually became a politician?
Well, I think there's a difference between being a politician and being a public servant. So when you're on the campaign trail, things are totally different than when you're actually elected and you're serving. Politics it's really difficult. It's a lot of fun. We actually waited until our kids were grown before we got into the field, until he actually decided to run for office. So it made life easier for us because I just cannot imagine having him gone so much and having little kids at home. But how did it change? I would have to say it changed for the better. It's really great. I love being the first lady, so to speak, and I think my husband really, this is his calling. I think he's really good at it. He has a great way of just being able to represent everybody. And together, I believe we make a really good team. I think where I'm strong, he's weak. Where he's, strong, I'm weak. And it's given us an opportunity to really serve the community that we love.
Are there any unique challenges that come with the kind of lifestyle of being an elected official or being on that campaign trail that you wanted to talk about?
Unique challenges. I would say sometimes you just want to put on your sweatpants and pop some popcorn and watch a movie. And I think when you're on the campaign trail, you really do need to be out there all the time, as well as once you get elected, you're supposed to be listening to your constituents and be out in the community. So once in a while, it's kind of nice to stay home. So, but we knew what we signed up for, and we are absolutely honored to be there. I think the challenges are, we were talking about our doggies. Our kids are gone, but our doggies are home. So when we're gone a lot, it's hard. So those type of things.
So what is your favorite part of being in the role of First Lady of the Santa Clarita Valley?
I would say my favorite part, there's a lot of favorites, but I think it's being able to have an avenue to accomplish things. Like, I'll give you an example. When my husband was first elected to the assembly, he represents the Val Verde area. And every year, Val Verde has, after Father's Day, I think it's the weekend after Father's Day, they have a big community picnic. And we went to the community picnic and we met several of the people that are involved in the Valverde Community Center. And we found out that they have a girls group there, after school program with a group of girls that come and do their homework. And then they get to go on special field trips and things if they do well in school. And at that point, I was president of Seroptimus, which is a women's organization helping women. And when I found out about, I would never have found out about this if I wasn't with him visiting the Valverde area. And we ended up doing a partnership with my Seroptimus group and the girls. And up to until this day, it's 4 years later, we are now mentoring these girls. We have a great relationship with them. So just being able to see things and hear about things that I think we wouldn't normally be able to hear about in just our world.
And what's the toughest part of your role being First Lady of the Santa Clarita Valley?
When people may not be happy with certain legislation that your spouse passes, or they may not be happy about something that's going on in the political world, I take everything personally. So when people say stuff that are not necessarily complimentary of my husband, I think that's really tough.
What guidance do you give your husband that you're willing to share with us?
I think that when you're out there in the public eye, especially once you get elected, people tell you what you want to hear. So my husband will tell you that once he got elected, all of a sudden his jokes were funnier, people laughed, he was more handsome, he was much more interesting, and it's not real. So I think we as wives or spouses, I think we kind of bring that home a little bit. Like we say, don't get too full of yourself, and people who are telling you these things, be aware that they're telling you this because they may have an ulterior motive. For my husband, I would say that again, where he's, there may be things that he's brilliant when it comes to legislation and anything that has to do with governing. And I think I'm more of the people person, where I see things that he may not see. I may be more sensitive to that. So I will say, hey, when we were at this event, did you notice this? So those type of things. I think we are eyes and ears. And I think it's nice to have someone who knows you and loves you, and you know where their motives are, giving you their opinion.
Right, that feedback and
Yes,
that teamwork.
yes.
Okay. How did this last race, which some people might say got a little bit ugly, how did that impact you and your family?
Okay, I didn't think it got a little bit ugly. I think it got a lot of bit ugly. It was awful. It was really a brutal campaign season. And every time I thought, okay, things can't get lower, they did. It was hard. It was really hard. And again, it's hard when, I'll give you an example. I went to get my nails done, and I'm at with my lady, and she's doing my nails, and they have a TV, and I'm looking up at the TV, and I see my husband's face, and of course it's, looks awful, and they're talking about how, he wants little kids to smoke, and I don't know, he hates puppies or whatever. And it was shocking to me. And I think politics, sometimes they take maybe something that's a little true and then blow it up. Whereas this year, they just lied. I mean, they didn't even take anything that was a little bit true. One of the worst ones was when they were talking about the Aliso Canyon gas spill, where my husband was on the scenes all the time, gave out his cell phone number to thousands of people that had come for a town hall. His phone was ringing off the hook with constituents, and his office was amazing, helping people who had been affected by that. And there was all these mailers and TV commercials talking about how he did nothing. There was a mother holding a baby. I mean, it was a stock picture about how he let these little babies, be poisoned. That was very offensive. It was really difficult. And I think for the candidate, that's politics. For the wife, you just want to scream. So, and now with social media too, people are out there on social media, there's no accountability. They just say whatever they want. And so I read it, I write something and then I backspace it, and then I read it and I write something and I backspace it. So that part is the part that really stinks. So I'd have to say I hope it's never like that again. I hope that's not a sign of things to come.
And how do you cope with that kind of stuff when that's going on?
You just kind of have to. I pray. I really do. We just pray. My husband and I, we really believe that our reputation will be protected because people who know us, and that's a lot with campaigning too. You go out there and you meet people, and it's a lot harder to demonize someone when you know them. So when you're at all these events, when you're everywhere campaigning and people get to know you and they know your family and they know who you are, they see that type of commercial and they go, yeah, no, that's not who he is. So that's basically, you just have to be out there all the time and be authentic, and then hopefully people know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Vanessa. It was so nice to meet you and to get to
Thank
know you a
you.
little bit. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. This has been my sit-down interview with Vanessa Wilk. To watch my interviews with the other First Ladies of the SCV, go to hometownstation.com. I'm Melissa Lampert, KHTS Features.